Imagine you're walking down a big city street. A movie director looking for a fresh face plucks you out of a crowd. Next stop, Hollywood, and a date with stardom. Incredibly, that fantasy became a reality for Rodney Harvey, a street-smart kid from South Philadelphia, whose dashing good looks led quickly to modeling gigs, feature films, and a network television series.
Hi, my name's Rodney Harvey, and I think you should watch The Outsiders because we have a lot of good stories going.
The actor hung out at the hottest clubs with the hippest people. Rodney Harvey was the next big thing in Hollywood.
Loved clothes, girls, cars, and limousines, rock and roll, baby.
But more than clothes, girls, and limos, Rodney Harvey was into drugs, hard and heavy.
Heroin addiction. You know, it's like the devil in disguise.
And hell on earth. On April 9th, 1998, just 10 years after arriving in Hollywood, Rodney Harvey checked into a hotel near downtown Los Angeles. 2 days later, the maid found him slumped over at the foot of the bed.
911 emergency, operator 443.
Hello, yes, I'm calling from the Barber Zone Hotel. I got a guy in the room that is not breathing.
In the coming hour, we'll follow Rodney Harvey's heartbreaking journey from his days on the streets of South Philly.
He was the man. I mean, they come to our house because, you know, he was like the leader of the pack.
To his nights in the Hollywood spotlight.
The camera loved Rodney. He was a little guy, but with a real movie star face.
To his run-ins with the law and his struggle to get clean.
It was torture because he wanted very badly not to be an addict.
And finally to Rodney Harvey's agonizing ultimate battle.
You know how depressed you have to be if you get the chance of a lifetime and you take the wrong road?
Rodney lost his way and lost himself in a haze of drugs and self-doubt. This is a disturbing story of promise gone unfulfilled and poisoned dreams. Rodney Harvey, the E! True Hollywood story.
There was a positive dream of being one of the world's
Her life's ambition was to be a star.
Never recovered from the public spotlight.
I'm just going to keep focused and do the shows that we do, and hopefully everything will be just fine.
But that was not to be. In a series of letters and poems written in 1998, Rodney Harvey documented his desperate search for self-discovery and peace of mind.
I look back now, and I just never felt that I fit in. I was always trying to gain acceptance through other people. I didn't find it in the business or school or even in drugs, but I kept on searching.
Rodney Harvey was born in South Philadelphia on July 31st, 1967. He was the second son of Lois and Eddie Harvey Sr., a longshoreman. As a child, Rodney didn't see much of his father, who moved out of the house when the boy was just an infant. When Rodney was 2 years old, his mother remarried, and months later, a baby brother was added to the family. Rodney started out as a shy kid, but growing up in South Philly turned the boy into a tough teen. Rodney's cousin, Don Bonsera.
Very street smart, very brave. Don't dare him to do anything. He would do something on a dare and a drop of a dime.
Rodney walked and talked tough. He was cocky, smart-mouthed, and often in trouble. Rodney's older brother, Eddie.
He was always a jinx every time he was with us. And we done something, we always got caught when he was there. Hooky school, we got caught.
Still, the good-looking kid made up for his bad luck in other ways.
He had girls growing up. He was 15 years old. He had 14. He had girls. Everybody was in love with him. We go out together. He get the girl. You know, I just pay him. It's around, since that girl wants to dance with me, I'll give him 50 cents, whatever it was.
Beneath Rodney's slick exterior was a troubled adolescent who longed for his absent father. At home, his relationship with his stepdad was uneasy at best.
I remember him crying for my father times, me crying for my father, fighting with Sam, which was my stepdad, telling him, you know, about my dad, and he's telling your dad's nothing.
In 1981, at age 14, Rodney tried to contact his birth father by calling him on the telephone, but the teen met with rejection when his father refused to recognize him. Rodney's hurt ran deep, and the teenager found an easy way to dull his pain.
We go by some beer, some pot, and sit in the schoolyard, smoke pot, and drink beer.
By 1984, Rodney Harvey dropped out of high school. The 16-year-old had other plans. Harvey knew that his handsome face could take him far. While watching a Superman movie, Rodney told childhood friend Sal Mazzata he wanted to be in the movies.
He just looked at me out of nowhere and says, you know what, Sal, I'm going to go to California, become an actor, and I want to play Superman's son. So I just looked at him like, this guy's crazy.
But the determined teen had to put his dream on hold. Rodney's family life fell apart. Harvey's mother and stepdad split up. Rodney and his brothers were left on their own. Childhood friend Ruth Ansecchio.
The mother let Eddie and Rodney know that they were leaving, but they weren't coming with her. And they had to find a means of living. And I guess they didn't believe it, went home, and then it was gone. When they boarded that house up, it was devastating. He knew that his whole family type of thing fell apart. We broke into that house before they would sell it because he wanted to sleep in there one last time.
Rodney Harvey and his older brother survived with the help of friends and family members. Then, in 1984, 16-year-old Rodney Harvey hopped on a train to spend a day in New York City, where his life took a surprising and dramatic turn. Filmmaker Paul Morrissey was scouting Times Square for kids to play gang members in his film Mixed Blood. The director spotted Harvey, who was conducting some business of his own. He was trying to buy a knife. Impressed with Rodney's looks and tough guy attitude, Morrissey signed Harvey to a film contract for $100 a day. At first, Harvey's family in Philadelphia found his tale hard to believe.
Sure enough, it was legit. And we were just like, get out, no way, no way. And yeah, way.
Coming up next, the world discovers Rodney Harvey.
Here he was, this South Philly kid hanging on the corner drinking quarts of beer and smoking weed. And who would have thought in a million years, like, this kid was going to go to Hollywood?
And later, the chance of a lifetime turns into a Hollywood nightmare.
The last time I saw him, he looked like a junkie. That's not an attractive look.
In 1984, the world of 16-year-old Rodney Harvey was turned upside down when a film director discovered him in the middle of Times Square. Learning to act was a breeze for the handsome teen from South Philly, but handling success would be another story.
I was living it up. I had girls, money, clothes, movies, but I was still looking for some kind of peace. I wanted to find out who I really was, and looked in all the wrong places.
In January of 1984, Rodney Harvey began work on his first movie, Mixed Blood, a dark comedy about teenage gangs and drugs.
Brady, you know I want to kill people. I'll never get anything else. Just let me kill Juan.
No. Even if you did kill Juan and his whole goddamn gang, you could get arrested.
Ah, so what?
They put you in jail for that.
I don't mind a few months in jail.
Rodney's good fortune was about to get better. At the premiere of the movie Mixed Blood, Harvey met Alan Mindel, founder of the prestigious modeling agency Click. Mindel was impressed with Rodney's charisma, both on and off camera, and quickly signed him to a contract. Rodney was clay to be molded in the agent's hands. But the savvy teen also knew a good thing when he saw it. Friend, actor Boyd Kessner.
He had a gift. You know, he was a charmer. You know, he survived that way. He got what he wanted when he wanted it. Some people have to work really hard at what he had naturally.
By 1985, 17-year-old Rodney Harvey was making a name for himself as a top-notch model. Famed photographer Greg Gorman.
The camera loved Rodney. He was a little guy, but with a real movie star face. Rodney had a certain street smartness and a certain street presence, which, coupled with his extremely good boyish looks, made a very interesting subject.
Rodney was a hot property. He moved easily from modeling to landing small parts in movies like the 1985 film Delivery Boys. That same year, when Rodney returned home to South Philly, the one-time street kid received a hero's welcome. Friend Ralph Squillace.
Like, he really made a big impression here in South Philadelphia. From the little girls to the older guys, you know what I mean? All the girls wanted to be with him, and all the guys wanted to be like him.
Despite the neighborhood hoopla, the actor remained humble about his success. Rodney's older brother, Eddie.
He didn't throw it in nobody's face. He wants, you know who I am? He didn't do that. He was just like laid back and just didn't, took it as it come along.
It came along pretty quickly. Film producer, Forrest Murray.
Rodney at the time was one of what we considered to be our finds. He was one we thought, we were in the realm of the film business's next generation of actors.
Murray cast Rodney as a misguided teen in the 1987 film Five Corners.
Listen, someone murdered our teacher, so we got the day off. You want to go for a ride?
The movie starred Jodie Foster and Tim Robbins. Even though Rodney was an unknown actor, he received the most attention.
His trailer was full of hangers-on and managers and agents and whatnot, and he was picked to be a star.
The actor was unstoppable. In 1987, he landed a role in another Paul Morrissey film, Spike of Bensonhurst. The following year, the 21-year-old moved from New York to California.
Here he was, this South Philly kid hanging on a corner drinking quarts of beer and smoking weed, and who would have thought in a million years, this kid was going to go to Hollywood?
In 1988, the young actor snagged his biggest role yet in the dance film Salsa.
Hey, boss, you should see him dance. He's great. He's going to do it. He will clear the floor.
Even though Salsa was a box office disappointment, in May of 1988, Us magazine considered Rodney Harvey one of Hollywood's hot and cool. Harvey partied as hard as he worked. Booze and cocaine became his passport to a new world. Friend and producer Joe Byrne.
The drugs were a way to be liked. The drugs were an introduction to an environment. Drugs was an introduction to a different kind of a social life. Here's a young man, not a lot of wherewithal, saying, geez, this is cool, man. I get it all.
Rodney was right at home in the Hollywood fast lane. His friends included actors Balthazar Getty, Sean Greenblatt, and Drew Barrymore.
Even talk different, drove different kind of car, and dressed different, and went out to eat. He ordered different, like he knew what he was doing, like California life, Hollywood life.
Yet, with all the Hollywood perks, the actor seemed lonely.
There was something there missing, and I think it has to do with family. I think it was a family that he lacked. Being out here, maybe people he didn't trust, maybe always running from something. You could always see that he was running from something.
In 4 short years, Rodney Harvey's talent and charisma had taken him very far, very fast. And that can be a problem for a young man.
The unfortunate thing about success in Hollywood is that you can get whatever you want whenever you want it, and however you want to do it, and whatever the case may be. It's just, you have to know when to draw a line. He didn't have any boundaries.
Coming up next, Rodney Harvey finds a TV family.
It's a dream come true just to work with Francis Ford Coppola, and just to have his name on something, it looks really nice on the resume.
And later loses himself in a haze of drugs.
Like he just didn't care about nothing no more. Like he was on a death mission.
During the late 1980s, Rodney Harvey's chiseled good looks and raw talent made him one of Hollywood's most promising young new actors. Rodney's overnight success provided him with money, fame, and something else.
My drug use. I was using more and more and telling myself that I was okay. But deep down inside, I knew I was in trouble.
In 1989, Rodney Harvey set his sights on a Fox network television series, The Outsiders, a drama about teenage boys coming of age in the 1960s. The 22-year-old actor believed he was right for the show. At first, series executive producer Joe Byrne wasn't so sure.
He read, and I said, thank you. He said, well, how did I do? I said, you did fine. He said, well, do I have the job? I said, well, I don't know. I said, we're just going to read about 1,600 more people into this character, so you're right up there.
Rodney Harvey beat the odds and won the role of the character named Soda Pop.
Everyone just always says, oh, you got the role of Soda Pop Curtis, and they look at me all like funny-eyed, and because I guess Soda's the one with the girls, and he gets all the girls, I guess.
Of all of them, he was probably the most natural. I mean, he got it real quick. He got everything real quick.
Harvey joined up-and-coming actors David Arquette and Boyd Kessner, who played Rodney's older on-screen brother.
I guess the show kind of changed his life, you know. It was brothers and sisters that he didn't have, you know, in Hollywood.
Loved it. Clothes, and girls, and cars, and limousines, rock and roll, baby. This is it. This is it. I'm getting a taste of all this. So I know it's going to go away, but it's cool right now.
Rodney Harvey enjoyed himself, continuing to indulge in drugs. By 1990, the actor's all-night binges began to affect his work. Friend Sal Mazzata.
He's not showing up on the set, so I'm like, Ron, you're crazy. There's so many people that try to do this, and you finally put a break. And, you know, I was trying to give him good advice. And he's like, don't worry about it. They love me, this, that. I mean, he was like, he loved the fast life.
But Rodney's antics soon frustrated his producers.
When he'd come to work a little bit, he'd be what I call a little glassy. And I'd just send him home. And I said, if I see those eyes again like that tomorrow, you're out of here.
He had a stint there where he missed a day of filming because he was out partying, and that was it. And Joe said, hey, movie man, keep him under your wing.
In the spring of 1990, Rodney and Boyd Kessner became roommates. They lived in an apartment in Hollywood. According to Kessner, Harvey seemed confused by his good fortune.
Success was scary to him, really scary to him. He did not accept it. He fought it. As much as he wanted, he fought it. And he fought it by running from it and getting with the groups and disappearing and doing his drugs.
In 1990, after just 1 year, Harvey's TV series, The Outsiders, was canceled. Rodney was devastated.
I think it was kind of a shock. And I think he took it the hardest. And that was part of when he started sliding a little bit, or a lot, actually.
Nevertheless, Harvey continued to work. The 23-year-old returned to modeling, appearing in ads and TV commercials. By the fall of 1990, Harvey caught another big break. He was signed to play a lead role in Gus Van Sant's film, My Own Private Idaho, a gritty drama about street hustlers set in Portland. But just before filming started, Rodney was told that Keanu Reeves was playing the lead. Rodney was offered a smaller role. While making the movie, Harvey lived and hung out with his co-stars, including Reeves, River Phoenix, and Flea, the lead guitarist of the rock band The Red Hot Chili Peppers. Reports of the young actor's offset parties and Harvey's alleged drug abuse trickled back to Rodney's friends and family. The making of the film marked a dangerous turning point for Rodney Harvey. The actor's drug use escalated. He reportedly began shooting heroin.
And when he come back, he was just a different person. This is a totally different person. Like, he just didn't care about nothing.
Childhood friend Ruth Ann Secchio also noticed something odd.
When he came back here after that, you could start seeing the difference. He had long sleeves on in the middle of the summer. You don't do that.
But in 1992, 25-year-old Rodney found a reason to get his act together. He met and fell in love with Roxana Zoll, an actress best known for her role in the television movie Something About Amelia. With Roxana's help, Rodney put the drugs on hold. The couple lived at Roxana's Malibu home and enjoyed many evenings at the Formosa Cafe, a hotspot for some of Hollywood's young and famous. Waitress Cassie Marple.
He was a very wonderful, very loving young man, very handsome. And as I said, always full of energy and always full of energetic. And he would come in with Roxanne, his girlfriend, and they were together like ham and eggs. At first, we thought they would be forever.
Rodney seemed to be back on the right track. In 1992, Harvey was cast as a teenage hoodlum in the picture Gun Crazy, starring Drew Barrymore. But by the time filming was completed, Rodney Harvey was back on drugs.
He just looked a little different. Like he wasn't the same. Like he would get angry over certain things, like like stupid things.
He'd make money. He would try his hardest to stay straight. Then he'd fall right off the wagon again.
The actor's drug abuse destroyed his relationship with girlfriend Roxana Zoll. The couple's breakup was long and painful. By 1994, Rodney was crashing with friends and trying to figure out his next move. Producer Forrest Murray.
It looked like there was no reason to believe that you would be anything but a star. And then it didn't happen. And, it all combines to make an insecure person go nuclear.
Rodney Harvey's love affair with heroin was taking him down a dark and dangerous
Don't see no way out, and you're going to die.
By 1990, 23-year-old Rodney Harvey reached the pinnacle of his acting career, starring in a network television show. But within a few short years, his money was gone, his beauty faded, and heroin was his best friend.
I knew that the life I was leading was going nowhere. I had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. My acting career was over, my respect, all my morals were gone. Life had too much to offer me.
In 1993, Rodney Harvey did not work in front of a camera. He spent his time and his money getting high. Rodney's nonstop use of heroin consumed his beauty and turned him into a desperate man. Waitress Cassie Marple saw Harvey one afternoon at the Formosa Cafe.
When he would come running in, he would be disheveled and agitated, and he lost a lot of weight, and his looks changed. He was losing that handsome look that he had in the beginning when he was like on the edge of stardom.
By 1995, the only photo shoots Rodney Harvey posed for were police mugshots. The addict's rap sheet included arrest for battery, robbery, and possession of drugs. But Rodney beat the system every time with the help of his lawyer, Audrey Winograde.
And I remember the judge said to me, "And what are we going to do next time, Miss Winograde?" And I said, "Next time, you can put him in jail." And he said, "I'm writing that down in the file, Miss Winograde. Next time, we can put him in jail." I said, "That's fair." It was always, one more and one more and one more. And that was it.
In April of 1995, attorney Winograde took 27-year-old Rodney to Liberty House, a sober living home for men. Within an hour, the addict was gone, looking for his next fix. But Rodney returned the following day, desperate for help. Liberty House director Larry Luttrell.
He was aware of what using had taken away from him and how that people backed away from him because he was just out of control. There was a lot of remorse, there was a lot of guilt, there was a lot of shame involved in that, in his behavior.
Rodney made it through a tough detox program by May of 1995. But that was only half the battle. The recovering actor had to confront his inner demons. Rodney's sister-in-law, Becky Harvey.
He said, "Never really found myself. I always had to be what somebody else wanted me to be."
Rodney confided in his halfway house roommate, Rick Carroll, that he had a difficult time with success.
Sometimes I think it was hard for Rodney to distinguish the difference between the adulation that sort of comes along, it's the nature of the business, and true love.
While Rodney was living at the Liberty House, the actor started to take a hard look at himself.
A lot of times at night, when the lights were off and we're just kind of talking about stuff, and you'd feel the bed shake a little bit, and you'd realize that somebody was crying. And it would be like a moment of, I get it, for a minute.
But while Rodney understood his problems, he couldn't overcome them. After 4 months, the actor broke Liberty House rules by going to a nightclub. Rather than take responsibility for his actions, Harvey left the halfway house
There was a certain rebelliousness that he had, and a certain, when I say who is really real, this is who I am, and I don't care if I'm going to get kicked out of this house.
By September of 1995, Rodney returned to South Philadelphia. The addict's situation was grave. Rodney's older brother, Eddie, insisted his younger brother get professional help. Eddie took matters into his own hands.
My brother was balled up on the couch, couldn't move. We put him in the car, took him to rehab. And I waited all day, drove all the way up there, up in Jersey somewhere, dropped him off.
Eddie's wife, Becky, recalls the episode was an agonizing ordeal.
He was in bad shape, in pain, and most likely, I'm pretty sure, withdrawals. And getting him there, and we got him there, and I don't really know I don't even think I knew what to think.
Within 2 days, Rodney was back on the street and desperate to return to South Philly.
Hijacked the car, put it in a plastic fork, and put it to the guy's throat. Told the guy get out of the car, and took the man's car, and he's around Philly, driving around in a stolen car.
Harvey spent the next month and a half in prison for his crime. In November of 1995, Rodney was released and found work as a waiter in a South Philly restaurant. Friend Ralph Squillace.
This guy who was worth $500,000, who did Calvin Klein commercials and starred in movies, now had to get humble, and he did it. And he got humble, and he was starting the recovery process.
Part of Rodney's recovery was going on religious retreats.
He shared a lot of stuff with this priest, some stuff that, he might not have wanted to share with anyone like me or his brother.
But not even the ministering of his priest could keep Rodney off heroin. By December of that year, Harvey returned to Los Angeles. Back on the streets, Rodney's drug problem quickly ravaged his body and wallet.
I'm still hearing stories of the stuff he did. Live on the street. He just didn't care. Just give it up, living in a cardboard box.
In January of 1996, the law caught up with 28-year-old Rodney Harvey again. He returned to court, charged with possession of heroin. This time, Harvey failed to beat the rap.
He was on probation for so many different cases that they just put them all together and said, okay, you're going to the joint.
Harvey spent the next 8 months at the Delano Correctional Facility in California.
I always got the feeling that he felt he was in a place that was an okay place for him. But he wasn't doing drugs, and he was working, and he was reading, and he just was doing fine.
While in prison, Rodney earned his high school diploma. The actor was optimistic about his future. By November of 1996, Harvey was released from prison and returned to Hollywood. It seemed to friend Boyd Kessner, Rodney was serious about his recovery.
He called me once he got out, got a place in Hollywood, was working construction, cleaning his life up, really excited.
The 29-year-old attended AA meetings. Rodney was living a clean life and proud of it, but his sobriety wouldn't last long. Coming up next, Rodney Harvey runs from the law, chases a high, and goes home.
He just said, yeah, I'm really messed up. Look at me, man. I can't help it. Got me. I don't know what to say. Look at me. I was like, you mean cry? What are you going to do,
In 1996, Rodney Harvey's heroin addiction landed him inside a California prison for 8 months. The one-time actor was determined to beat his habit.
Being on heroin is like you're dead. You're nothing but a body, a wild monkey in the jungle just trying to survive.
By January of 1997, 29-year-old Rodney Harvey was off drugs and looking for a new job. The recovering addict turned to his friend and former agent, Alan Mindel. Mindel hired Rodney as his personal assistant and moved him into his home. Impressed with Rodney's sobriety, Mindel contacted director Gus Van Sant, who was casting his new film, Good Will Hunting. The director agreed to meet with Harvey. But within 48 hours of Mindel's call, Rodney was discovered shooting heroin inside the agent's home. Disappointed and hurt, Mindel threw Rodney out. Harvey was back on the streets. and needed money to feed his habit. Rodney returned to Mindell's home and stole $3,000. The police were called in.
The lesson wasn't learned the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time out. He would do the same thing he did. If he would have to steal, he would go do it. And he'd go do it from the people that he knew, that he could get away with it.
Rodney's parole officer tracked him down at a friend's house. But before the officer could arrest Harvey, he was gone. With money from friends, Rodney returned to Philadelphia. Harvey's older brother, Eddie, couldn't believe his eyes.
I couldn't even recognize him. That's how bad he looked. I felt like crying. I was like, what's going on? He wanted money. I'd give him a couple of dollars, went in the store, bought him something to eat.
Friend, Ruth Ansecchio.
It was very hard for him to come back here knowing that he was a bad drug user and he didn't make it in Hollywood.
It didn't take long before Rodney Harvey became the subject of rumors in South Philly.
Well, some of them were that he was like selling himself for drugs. I refuse to believe that. I'm just from what I heard, and he, I don't know. He just from all the needles, people were afraid that he might have AIDS, or from selling himself, he might have AIDS.
Despite the gossip, Ruth Ann didn't abandon her friend, even in his darkest moments.
He came knocking at the door, full of blood. So I took him in and I put him in the shower. And he's washing it off, and he's got, you know, his scars and all, but he's washing it all off. And he came out of the bathroom, and he was shaking real bad. And I was hugging him, saying, "Are you all right?" And then he fell on me again, and I ended up in the hallway on a real cold hardwood floor, squatted with him in my arms, crying, shaking.
You try to do what you can do for him. Didn't want to give him money because you knew what he was going to do with it. You know, like I come here, bought him sneakers, give him underwear, clothes, walk out the door. Next day, he ain't got nothing. Just leaves it behind. Like he just didn't care about nothing.
Harvey's family learned a hard lesson. There was little they could do to help Rodney. Rodney was going to have to help himself. Harvey's cousin Dawn, a recovering heroin addict, knows firsthand about the battle of addiction.
The power of choice. Ultimately, it's yours. You either want to get sober more than anything in your life, or you just don't see no way out and you're going to die. It's unfortunate, it's hurtful, but it's the truth.
Back on the streets, and with nowhere to go, Rodney returned to his mother's home. But Harvey's erratic behavior became too much for her to handle. Once again, Eddie Harvey had to step in.
So I'm down by my mom's house, and all the lights are on. I'm looking, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? My mom gets up, "Oh, Eddie, you here?" She said, "Stay the night. Brownie's high tonight."
Eddie stayed and tried to help his brother. But Rodney was out of control.
One thing led to another. We started calling each other names, and we got a little scuffle there, and, you know, we didn't talk for a while.
In May of 1997, Rodney's mother had enough and told her son to get out of the house. She gave Rodney $10 and some food stamps. Later that day, Harvey returned to his mother's home and proceeded to steal her VCR, TV, and jewelry.
Yeah, hurt the people you love, you run through their lives like tornadoes, you know, and you just leave all this destruction behind. And that's the best way I could describe it, you know. But you never stop loving them, you know.
Eventually, an uncle contacted Rodney's parole officer in Los Angeles. Harvey was extradited back to California in June of 1997. The one-time actor faced several charges, including the robbing of his friend and agent Alan Mindell. Harvey was looking at a possible sentence of 12 long years in prison. Coming up next, an addict's final decision.
And there was a syringe next to his arm. You could tell by the color of his skin that he'd been dead for a while.
In 1997, 29-year-old Rodney Harvey was extradited from Philadelphia to Los Angeles. He faced a burglary charge and the possibility of spending 12 years in prison.
I needed to be put in a prison cell. There was no other way. I believe that God has strange ways of working, and He wanted to have a chat with me.
In the summer of 1997, Rodney Harvey stood trial for robbing his friend and agent, Alan Mindel. In an odd twist of events, Rodney's accuser became his savior.
I remember the public defender called me because Rodney was looking at doing a lot of time at that point. And then suddenly, whether Alan felt guilty or what, he hired a lawyer for him.
Harvey got lucky again. His lawyer persuaded the court to give Rodney a reduced sentence. Harvey spent the next 9 months at the California Rehabilitation Center, a prison for drug users located outside of Los Angeles. Inside prison, the one-time actor worked in the kitchen for 8 cents an hour. Despite all of his ordeals, Rodney seemed content.
It's not that bad in here. Sure, all your decisions are made for you. You can either go with the flow or against it. I have, for one, decided to ride this last storm out.
In 1998, Rodney began to make plans for his upcoming release.
He called me and he wanted me to find him a new sober living home to go to when he got out. He told me that his friend Roxana would be paying for it and that she would call me. Roxana never called me because Rodney never told her.
On Thursday, down his path of no return. LAPD officer Steve Mahar.
A couple of prostitutes let it be known that they knew he was partying a lot. He'd been out using drugs, buying drugs with some of the local area prostitutes.
On the morning of April 11th, 1998, hotel housekeeper Telba Arazo made her way to room 222. She knocked on Rodney Harvey's door. There was no answer.
Pero donde puché la puerta, estaba abierta la puerta. Entonces yo solo lo vi de sentado, con su mano así y la otra así puesta, abajo. Y entonces cuando yo lo toqué, él estaba bien helado, tieso.
A hotel employee then called 911.
911 emergency operator 443. Hello, yes, I'm calling from the Barber Zone Hotel. I got a guy in the room that is not breathing.
Paramedics and police officer Steve Mahar arrived on the scene within minutes of the 911 call.
When we got there, went up to the room was open, the window was open, it was extremely cold in the room. He was half on the bed. His lower part of his body was on the bed and his lower half had drooped all the way to the floor. And there was a syringe next to his arm. And you could tell by the color of his skin that he'd been dead for a while.
Near Harvey's lifeless body, a syringe, an empty heroin balloon, a metal tube and the burned-out bottom of a soda can, lethal debris from the drug binge that killed the once handsome, charismatic kid with a golden future.
Y me dio lástima porque yo lo vi de como estaba muy dobladito para que lo sacaran bien derechito. Me dio lástima porque yo sé que ya lo hicieron a pura fuerza.
The coroner's report officially listed Harvey's death as a drug overdose. Traces of cocaine and morphine were found in his body. Rodney Harvey was one of 3 drug-related deaths during the week of April 5th in the city of Los Angeles.
So the story goes. It's the battle of addiction. Heroin, it's a powerful drug. It'll take everything from you, even your life.
Coming up next, Rodney Harvey's legacy.
Maybe somebody else will find out tonight who's in tough shape, who's hearing the same story and saying, man, maybe I can't make it one more night. But they make it because they heard your story.
On April 9th, 1998, 30-year-old Rodney Harvey was released from prison. 2 days later, the former actor was found dead inside a hotel near downtown Los Angeles. The cause of death, heroin overdose.
I didn't want to leave this world a suicide victim and everyone to think I just quit. But being a drug addict, I could overdose, and no one would think of anything about suicide.
Rodney Harvey's tragic death left family and friends in shock, haunted by one overriding question. Did the one-time actor take his own life?
My feeling is he played Russian roulette with the drugs. He took an amount that possibly could kill him, but his body could possibly do okay with that amount. And let the chips fall as they may.
And fall they did. Drugs robbed Rodney Harvey of his dreams and his life. But he was not the only victim.
The unfortunate thing is it takes something like this for people to go, whoa. And how many more times is it going to happen?
I can understand an immature person being made crazy by all of this and the adulation and, in a sense, the pressure of people saying you can do no wrong when we're all fallible.
It's a test of your ego. It's a test of your foundation of your own life. It's just how educated you are, how instinctively smart you are, how you live your own personal life.
That fame had a role in the downfall of Rodney Harvey is perhaps a given. But the young actor was compulsive about everything that made him feel good. And in the end, heroin, not Hollywood, took his life.
He should be sitting in that chair with us. But it brings me comfort to know that he doesn't have to wake up in the morning and battle this disease anymore. I'm just sorry that he had to find peace in death.
Just months before he died, Rodney wrote of his addiction, a desperate battle that he knew he could never win.
It's like purgatory. Purgatory that's worse than hell because at least you know where you are when you're in hell. Rodney.